I'll share the YouTube channel.
All right, we're live. This has been 2 days in the building. We're here with Justin.
Hello.
Justin, Stephanie.
Hello.
Steve.
Hi.
And Junior.
What up, what up?
So I want to say hello to everybody, and today we have our special guest in studio, Jim Manna.
Hello,
Jim, how you
everybody.
doing?
Hi,
So,
Omar.
Jim is a member of the Board of Trustees for the City of West Bloomfield, and he is also a realtor for Remax Classic. Right, Jim?
Thank you. Yes, I am.
Thank you.
How'd you know?
I saw it today.
Oh, okay.
On a more personal note, I actually grew up with Jim's family since the 80s.
Yes, you did.
So, we've had a long history together. It's been crazy. It's been fun. It's been real. With his brothers, Martin and Case, Robert.
And I've always loved you.
Ditto, man. I appreciate it. So,
No matter what your sexual preference is.
Wow, jumping right into it.
he didn't waste any time.
Yeah,
huh?
seriously. I
know?
really like it.
So, of course, with mainstream media and with the whole thing with voting and politics and whatnot, liberals versus conservatives. One topic that's been around for several years, especially in the last maybe 5 years or 10 years, 5 to 10 years, is the whole sexual preference thing. Jim, we'll get right to the point since you opened the subject.
Wait a minute. You're the one that invited me.
That's true, but you're talking about my sexual
16
preference.
times, though.
So.
Did I tell everybody what you paid me to be here, finally? So that's why I'm here.
Well, how much did I pay you?
I'm messing with you.
He doesn't even know. I'm trying to find it. I don't even see it.
What's that, the link?
On his,
The
yeah.
Nadi?
No, it being live. I don't know how to get to it from his.
Let's see here.
I don't
So,
know why.
If you go to your notifications,
Yeah.
guys, all the viewers, please share this. It's very important. It's an important topic. We want to get the community aware of this. In our community, we have a lot of issues that are taboo. Whether you agree with them or disagree with them, people a lot of times want to sweep them under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's disabilities, illnesses like cancer and whatnot. But sexual orientation is definitely one of those. And Jim has a son.
So I don't have it live.
Jim has a son who is gay. Jim, I know you've actually written for the Chaldean News. I know at least of one column that you've written. Have you written more than that?
No, it was just an editorial that I wrote to support my son, to show my love for my son, and to actually show love for all gays and lesbians in the Chaldean community. I support them. I'm not gay myself, but I support them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm there for them. And I've had many of them come up to me and hug me and say thank you, because they don't have a lot of support and parents maybe that are accepting. I brought a lot of statistics with me, and I'm more than happy to share my life story about my son Todd.
How old is Todd? And let's work backward for a second. How old is Todd right now?
Todd's 32.
Okay, and how old was he when you or he first, maybe realized or started discovering that he was gay?
Todd was born one of the most beautiful baby kids you've ever seen. Most beautiful, big blue eyes. He was a phenomenal kid. Unfortunately, I think within when he was about 6 months old, he acquired a rare disease, unfortunately, spinal meningitis. Mm-hmm. And we got him to the hospital as soon as we could, and within the next 48 hours, the doctor had said he was either going to die, be blind, deaf, or mentally ill. Now, some of the people that are watching this are going to say, aha, that's how he became gay. But it had nothing to do with it. I'm just telling you my wonderful son's life story. Mm-hmm. I'm through the intercession of Jesus Christ and Mary and all the wonderful people that were praying for him. He survived. He survived. He's not. He doesn't have a hearing problem. He can see. Lives a absolutely beautiful life. Lives in Connecticut. He finished school at Grand Valley State University in Michigan, Western Michigan, and then after a couple of years left and moved to Boston, where he lived for many years. And today he owns a home in Connecticut and lives happily ever after.
And how old was he?
I'm sorry, you asked me a question.
That's okay.
Well, you know, I watched Todd as a little boy. He was probably one of the most social kids you'll ever meet. He always had a ton of friends, a lot of girlfriends, and from the time that he was a little boy, I watched him play with dolls, and then I started questioning it, started scratching my head, saying, "Why does this kid like playing with dolls so much?" But one of the things that I think I notice in gay people is the tendency to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit to be more woman-like.
Feminine.
Feminine, thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for. To be more feminine in some of the ways that they do certain things. And I think that's just one of the attributes of being born gay, that you're either feminine. I've also seen females that tend to be much more masculine, and I just think that's what happens to them. But I didn't actually. It didn't become a fact till he finished high school and we had the talk. He said, "Dad, I need to talk to you," and then I knew exactly what the talk was going to be.
So when he was a little boy and he was playing with dolls, did you kind of start suspecting it?
Of course, I suspected it for years, but and hoped it wasn't true. But then, of course, by the time that he was,
Did you try to stop him from playing with dolls or anything like that?
No, absolutely not.
Just let him be.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, if I saw a little boy playing with dolls today, I think it would be a great thing. I'd be for it.
So how did his after high school and how did the journey progress from there? When did you guys start experiencing negativity, stereotyping, discrimination, that type of thing?
I didn't. The only negativity or stereotyping that I've seen is really from our own Chaldean community, which is pretty pathetic. I love my Chaldean community. I'm pro-Chaldean. Everything I do is Chaldean. But unfortunately, most of the negative ramifications have come from our community. But we didn't see that. It's not something that I saw until I wrote about it in the Chaldean News, actually, to try to bring light upon the subject in the community. There wasn't just a my Todd thing. It was something that does exist in every community throughout the world. And I think when I immediately found out, I immediately tried to get him professional help. I spent a ton of money. We went to a psychotherapist for a few years, an expert, PhD psychotherapist who was an expert in people that were gay, and people that came out of the closet and said they needed help. And that I sent him to the best of the best.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Sure.
Why did you take him to see a therapist? Because you thought he was mentally ill, or because you just wanted him to get help for the process itself?
I'm a big proponent of mental therapy, first of all. And second, I wanted to be 100% sure that this was an issue. I didn't want him to sit there and wonder, the LGBT community has 3 times the rate of suicide attempts as compared to regular normal people, or straight people, I should say. So I wanted to make sure that he got the proper help, and I also wanted to be sure that he was gay. I wanted to also be sure that this was something that wasn't a phase that he was going through.
Absolutely.
I wanted to make sure that this is the real thing. So
Did a part of you kind of hope that it could be quote unquote cured, or that it could go away?
I don't think it's necessarily an illness that can go away. It can't go away. Anybody that says it can go away or you can get help for it is full of shit. Excuse my language on the program. But the therapist and all the reading that I did and all the things that I searched basically told me that, especially the therapist, that he said after 25 years of working with gays and lesbians, I've had one patient that switched, and he's, in my professional opinion, he was never gay to begin with. That was his response to me.
There used to be a thing called conversion therapy where people would take their child, their loved ones, to therapy to convert them back to heterosexuality.
So when you say convert them back to heterosexuality,
that's what it was called.
But hold on. So to convert them back to heterosexuality, are you saying they were born heterosexual?
That's what the idea was when they first started conversion therapy, and then that was proven to be so ineffective and actually damaging to people.
Thank you.
It damaged them very badly.
Thank you. In addition to that, there's the greatest documentary movie that my son sent me. It's called Anyone and Everyone, and I suggest to people, especially people that are ignorant to the fact, to go to Amazon and look it up. It's called Anyone and Everyone. It was produced in 2007 by Susan. Her last name is Polis, P-O-L-I-S. So I don't know, maybe she's Chaldean.
She's Chaldean?
No,
Maybe.
I don't think so. But she's a filmmaker, producer, and director, and it talks about parents across the country with their experiences regarding having gay kids, and it goes from Mormons to Jews to Roman Catholics to Hindu to Southern Baptists, and it's a great movie. And he sent me the CD many years ago. I watched it. It's a very, very, very sad movie. It's less than an hour long, but it really helps you to see the light. It helps you to see these different experiences of different families. There's a very, very, very sad fact that about 24% of gays who come out to their parents have to leave the home. They're asked to leave the home.
Now, Jim,
Yeah.
you say, you're okay with it now. You've come to terms with the whole ordeal, and that's good. God's given you that path. How do you feel about the society in the last few years as a whole, perpetuating this lifestyle, this gay lifestyle, trans lifestyle?
It's not a. What do you mean by lifestyle? Tell me specifically. What do you mean by a lifestyle?
When you say people are born with it, we say, okay, we'll agree. We'll agree to disagree and disagree to agree. Fine. I'll give that benefit. But in the long term, what do you think about the culture of being gay, the lifestyle of being gay? Do you think it's being over glamorized?
No, I don't think. First of all, I don't think it's a culture.
You don't think it's a culture?
Not at all. No, it's a fact.
Well,
there was some. Hold on. There was some. I started reading by mistake. I shouldn't have done it, but I started reading some of the Facebook posts and quotes, and the people that say, for example, they talk about MTV and all these social programs that are effectuating or making more gays, which is so false. So I thought about this fact to use for those people to help them, and that is, what about, let's go back to the 1930s or 1920s or 1940s. I don't remember when TV was invented, and think about before TV was invented. Let's go back before radio. So how far back do you have to go? Were there any gay people then? And the answer is, of course there was.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, if you look some of the movies that were remade from some of those times,
Yeah.
some of the stuff that was on there. I want to answer something to Steve, too, as well, that I saw. And I went through the comments, and there was some stuff that was valid, some stuff that was far-fetched, and some stuff that was just arguing till one of us went blue. But somebody said that, too, like, Google gay pride. And they basically were saying that because you Googled gay pride, it looked like everybody was happy. So this person was talking from somebody else skin deep, okay? Just because by perception of looking up what they see, that because it's gay pride, because people are marching through the streets. See, pain can be presented in any way, right? So if you're marching together to show that there's solidarity, just to somewhat bring yourself the ability to walk forth amongst the rest of humanity, it gives the ability to people to feel free for that moment. Do they feel happy at that time? Yeah, there's a bunch of people surrounding them, but when they go home, reality hits. Family's not around. Friends weren't there that used to be there. You know, you have moms, dads, again, like you said, like disassociate themselves. I know a couple kids that I grew up with, family and friends, close. They don't live here anymore. Some of them live in San Francisco. They've said what they've said. They're open. But at the end of the day, could they have freely done it here? Probably not. Family had, pushed them away and what have you. And it's just to me, that's wrong. You don't turn your back on people. And that's what I was saying to somebody.
There's a lot of isolation.
Somebody was saying, something, well, they didn't want to hear this from a conservative broadcast. Conservative, whatever it is. At the end of the day, we go home. We're humans, right? So we're going to talk about this subject. Now, one thing I want to also address to what you were saying was glamorization. There's always copycats. So let's be real. I said it to somebody else too. There is true people that are gay or lesbians or whatever it may be. But is somebody going to try to follow a trend to be that? There's people who follow to try to be black. Hold on. There's people. Stop. There's people that are white that try to be black. There's people that are black that try to be white. I'm just saying in general.
See what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Go to Ferndale.
Sure, I've been there.
All right.
I went to Como's. I've been around it.
Sunday night.
Been there.
Off of 9 Mile and Woodward.
Sure.
You'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, but
as far as the traditional gay man or gay woman, they're more discreet. You would never know. They're not flamboyant. It's just different.
You're
right?
You're labeling. No,
It's
you're wrong.
not labeling.
You are.
Go to Ferndale. Go to these gay towns that are predominantly gay.
Yeah.
As far as their venues and who they entertain, and you will see what I'm talking. They're just so out there.
What's the biggest? Hold on. Thank you. What's the biggest gay town in America?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. So out of San Francisco, out of the population of San Francisco, what percentage of it is gay?
Who knows?
well,
Give me a guess.
if you look at the whole country, we're 1% in the whole country.
It's like 25%.
I think it's Atlanta now. Isn't it Atlanta? The most gay
but what's
city?
what's the percent of the whole entire country? What is it? 1.5?
No, it's here.
Is it higher than that?
Using Gallup data taken from interviews with over 1.6 million adults, demographer Gary Gates reported that 10 million Americans, 4% of the population, now identify as LGBT. 4%.
So I was at 1 half. So 4% still.
I brought these figures for you guys, just for the audience, I should say. A survey of the Dentsu Group estimated that 5.2% of the Japanese are LGBT. A female-only survey found that 8% of Dutch women identify as gay or bisexual. Most surveys conducted showed a gay population of 3 to 8% of the population of each country that I did the research on. Iran has 0, since all gay people that did live there are dead. Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Sudan have the death penalty for anyone caught in the act of homosexuality. I talked about the suicide attempts. And every ethnic group in the world has gay people. And I think, I wanted to be here to just basically say, look, it does exist. It's here.
Absolutely.
And let's stop sweeping it under the rug. Let's love these people. Let's make them feel welcome. They're no, we can't make them feel like outcasts or they're dirty or something. They're horrible people. They're not. Let's love them. If we're supposed to be Christian, if we're supposed to be Catholics, we're not doing a good job of the way we treat them, or the way we label them.
That brings me to my next question. For you.
Mm-hmm.
You've volunteered a lot, with both, American Church and I think that St. Thomas. You've done some work too over the years. Would you consider yourself? I mean, you are a pretty avid churchgoer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And you obviously are aware of the church's position on homosexuality. How do you integrate that with your own beliefs as far as the whole issue of being gay?
Well, one of the Todd, just so you know, started school at St. Anne's in Warren, and then for high school he was going to go to De La Salle, but we eventually moved out to the west side, to West Bloomfield. Before we went to see the therapist, we went and spoke. I took him with me. And he was very open to it because he was very avid churchgoer, along with his brother Chad. And first person we went to see was, at that point, it was Father Frank. And Father Frank was very loving and accepting and said, you can come to church, you're welcome, but you can't act on it.
That's what I was going to say. We need to clarify what the church says about this. Being gay is not a sin.
Absolutely
it's acting
not.
on it. And the reason that acting on it is a sin is because if you can't get married, any act that you do intimately is a sin. So even a heterosexual person who's not married, who is in any way sinning in that sense, it's a sin, But the fact that they can't get married in the Catholic Church means that the act, any kind of sexual act, will be a sin. So it's the act of it that's a sin, not being gay.
Thank you.
So that goes to what I had to.
Well, hold on.
Yep.
I still.
So then you're breaking your religious pact, right? If you're gay.
Well, that's what we just said. You're not, because if you are gay, that's not a sin.
Okay, but
If you act on it.
But everyone's acting on it, right?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, we could live under a rock.
Not necessarily,
We could live
though.
under a rock.
No, wait a
Or
minute.
we could live in Iraq.
Priests
Which
don't
one?
live. Priests don't live under a rock. They take an oath of celibacy.
All right. So what you're saying to me is,
Can't they be celibate?
What you're saying to me is, when two people get married, they don't consummate their marriage. They just say, "Hi, we're
No, they're
roommates.
married. They're married.
Hey, what's up, Bob? Good.
They are
You look
married,
great
though.
today. Good. All right, see ya." That's,
Are you talking man and man?
I'm talking about man and man.
Or woman
Okay.
and woman, or
Woman
anything.
and woman. How do
Okay,
they
but
not
that is a
consummate
sin
their
then.
marriage? They're just going to sit there and, hi.
But that's not a Catholic marriage anyway, so there is a sin.
All right,
It doesn't
so
matter.
we're living under a rock.
We just
We're-
said it
we're
is a
just-
sin.
We understand.
How's
the
that
law.
living under a rock?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Because if you're going to
Because
say
I
that two
pers-
people that get married don't have sexual intercourse or anything like that, gay or straight, then that's just silly.
Okay, but
That's
first
silly.
of all, the
Nobody
fact
said
that
that.
Everyone's
But
just-
wait,
Nobody
wait.
said that. We're
so
just
then-
explaining.
So then,
we're just
so then
explaining.
it is a sin.
yeah, we just
So
no
99% of the time, it is a sin. It's a sin, right?
Being
To be
gay is not a
Catholic-
sin.
Okay, but if you're gay and you're doing acts,
Yes.
it's a sin, right?
Absolutely.
So 99% of the people are sinning when they're gay because they are doing these acts.
not necessarily.
Okay. all right.
Can I tell you something?
living in a rock,
Can I tell
under
you
a
something?
rock.
I personally know people who struggle every day because they have such a close relationship with God
You
that
know
they
what?
don't
I-
want
I-
to.
you know what?
Are you
Hold on,
single?
Steve, hold
Are
on.
you single? Steve, are you single?
Am I single?
Yes.
It depends on what day.
Okay. All right. So if you're single and you're having premarital sex, then you're sinning.
I understand that.
Somebody said that
but-
today on
but
Facebook, which
that's
I thought was profound.
99% of the people.
It's exactly what I.
And they go on to get married and whatever, and they still committed their mortal sins. Fine, I get it. But when you say, "Oh, it's okay to be gay, but just don't have sex," I mean, that's just kind of absurd, don't you think?
No.
No.
You don't
You
think
can't be
that's
single
absurd?
and not have sex.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
If you're married, do you have sex?
But
They're
to us,
basically telling
we
you
don't
this.
think that they're
married.
married.
Sex, right?
But listen,
Unless there's something wrong.
in
maybe
our-
there's something
in
in
our-
the relationship, you know, maybe
Hang on, though,
you
Steve.
just, you know, it's very rare.
Steve, hang on
But-
though. If two people get married and they're gay, but they're also devoted to the faith, why?
Very, very rare.
You don't know that.
Very rare. Very
Okay.
rare instances.
But
Then that takes me back to the question, like I said, to get to this. Then, so if we flip it to the side to say, if this is something born from conception, right, from birth, right, from if that's the case, then why should they be denied and treated the difference if by God's will was given that way, right? It's like my brother; he's visually impaired by God's will. That's just ended up how it ended up being, right?
Who's visually impaired?
Oh my!
What?
Oh my! I never knew. But
This changes
again,
everything.
So
No, no, but-
I know there's no scientific proof, but I'm just saying to you,
But-
doesn't that go against? I mean,
well, no, I want to ask Jim something. You know, in light of what we just talked about the church and all that.
Sure.
Knowing that their position and do you respect it or do you dispute it?
Do I respect or dispute what?
Their position, that okay, you being gay is not a sin, but acting on it is a sin.
You know, I'm Roman Catholic, and there's this thing called loyalty. And if you're loyal to the church, then you have to follow what the church says. When my son was having a union or a marriage, some people would call it, in Connecticut, I was invited. And I called, several people called me and said, you shouldn't go. And I can't say what I want to say right now because we're on the air. I can't curse, but
Sure.
it's my son. So I called Bishop Francis at the time, and he said, no, you can't go. And I said, okay, all right. So I went. and I'm glad I went. My parents didn't go. My mom and dad didn't go. All of my sisters went. A lot of my siblings went, and I'm glad I went. It was I love my son, and I love I guess he's my son-in-law. I love them both to death, and I'm glad I went, and I'd do it all over again. If that's a sin, or if I'm going to go to hell for it, I don't think I will.
No,
I don't think Jesus is. And I think a lot of gays will go to heaven before a lot of Catholics will.
Sure.
Just because we sin differently doesn't make us better.
Just to clear the air, I have nothing against homosexuality as far as being born with it. You know, that whole from birth and never really was interested in women. What I am against is like I said before, the glamorization, the forcing upon you. You know what? It's part of our culture. It's part of our lifestyle. You know, you could probably fit a couple football stadiums with all the gay people in the United States.
Of course.
So why is it such a big deal? Why are we like so amped up about the whole gay thing? Because it's just something to talk about on the liberal side.
10 million Americans will fit a lot more than a couple stadiums.
Yeah, right.
But here, I have to say that I have to say that I do.
True gay, like what you said. I mean, the people that are deep down, born with it. And there's a lot of people.
How do we
there's
decipher that?
Well, there's a lot of people that just, 15, 20 years, the woman thing is not working for the guy, and all of a sudden, hey, let me try the guy thing, I mean, there's a lot of girls and women.
Yeah. I think that could have just been something just like that was dormant and just came to be. Sometimes
or sometimes people try so hard to put it away.
Right.
Listen,
they mask the situation.
I think there are people that explore, and I think that's sick.
Okay, so I do agree with you, because I think anybody who's bisexual to me is somebody who is just a mutt, just disgusting.
Or now there's a new thing, it's called pansexual.
They're just somebody who cares about nothing. There's no belief in what sexuality they are. They're just dirty people.
Hold on. We could all go in circles, right? And in this room right here, we could all go in circles, and we put everything in the center as far as God. Oh, God created him this way from birth. But if there were Muslims in this room and we had the same, you know what they say? Off with the head.
What does that have to do with anything?
My point is, we're saying it's all related.
There's several gay Muslims,
right?
Oh yeah,
it's hard. It's
Oh
related. Naturally.
yeah, I know several.
Okay,
I know
Steve,
several gay Muslims.
Gay is natural, right?
Steve,
you're born gay.
Okay,
fine.
Steve.
But you can't tell that to someone
Let others
else.
talk.
They're
for
saying
a second.
keep
Hang on a
Because
second.
we have Jesus, we have God. I'm talking. I'm saying something.
But you've been saying for 5 minutes. Let others talk.
Okay. The topic was done, so I'm saying something. So who wants to talk now?
Okay, I do, and Justin.
I do. I want to say something. I want to know.
He said the least, actually.
Yeah, but I'm absorbing everything, just listening.
Don't absorb
I think
too
it's
much.
I think it's brave of you as a father to stand for your son, and I would probably do the same thing. I really don't know what I would do in that situation, but what I'm curious about is, what do Chaldeans do now in the community when they are gay? When they find out they are gay, is there like a support group for them? Is there a process?
No, it's no, not necessarily true.
Yeah, most of them hide.
Most
of them hide.
Okay. It used to be most, but not as much. Yeah. No, because there's an escape now. You guys don't get it. There's an escape now. There isn't therapy from us in our community. These guys got their own groups. I know some of them. I'm friends with some of them, okay? My cousin was. You know what I'm saying? He was just one of my best friends. So I'm trying to tell you, like, I'm around it, and I'm not fearing it, but so I see it. And they don't care. They're open with it. We clown, we joke, we do whatever. But they're finding their ways with their vacations. They're going on these cruises. They're doing things, leaving the States and going abroad to do things. Whether they're escaping it or not, they're coming to the point of opening and saying it. But at the end of the day, they have found the people that have accepted them. And you can see it. You can see it on social media. You know who is part of who. And you know what? I commend a lot of the newer generation Chaldean girls. They're making these guys feel better in that sense of being accepted. I see it, and I know, like what it would do. Because let me be honest with you, whether you're gay or if you got an arm that's missing, our community can beat you down, man. I'm just trying to tell you, like, it's reality.
Right.
So whichever it is, you just like who. So do you just go ahead and stomp them because you're getting stomped? No, you realize there's a sensibility. It's not fair what comes upon our community. So
I thank God, to answer your question.
Thank you.
I thank God that I came from a very, very loving family, and all I ever did was show love to Todd, and he had two great parents. His mother is a phenomenal mother, and I've always been there for him. And
I noticed you didn't call yourself phenomenal.
And
I'm just kidding. You know I love you, man.
I know you do. I appreciate that. It's been hard. It's been hard for everybody. It's been hard for him. He's been spat upon. He's been ridiculed. He's been. Thank God he's never been attacked. I think that's one of my biggest fears is that he doesn't live here. He's in Connecticut. But
going back to something that Steve said, and I do kind of agree with him on something.
I guess let me just finish my
I'm
thought
sorry.
about
Please.
Justin. I guess I worry about the people in our community that don't have that support and don't have that love and don't know where to turn, and that's why the suicide rate is so high. That's why they may turn to drugs or other things. But so it's very, very sad. And
We lost our cousin at 18 years old in San Diego. He hung himself, and that's what primarily they said the focus was. His father just did not accept the fact that he was gay. And it's just, that hurts. How do you lose a kid at 18 years old because he's not accepted? I mean, whatever it be, it's almost like bully, right?
We had a young Chaldean man that just died recently from a drug overdose, who was also gay. Now I don't know if the drugs were because he was gay, but it's a horrible, horrible loss.
But going back to something earlier that Steve said, which I kind of do agree with, and I want to give a couple of examples. I think the media has, I don't know if the word is glamorized, and whether it's caused by the media or the wrong spokespeople from the gay community. But, like somebody made a comment earlier which kind of pissed you off when they said the RSTUVWXYZ, the whole thing. That comes from, okay, it went from LG to LGBT to LGBT to LGBT. Hang on.
Yep.
LGBT, LGBTQ. See, like some of the things that are done, it's ridiculous. Okay, and when you have a cause that you're trying to fight for, you have to strategize. You don't just come out there and turn it into a circus. You know what I'm saying? It's like me. I have a cause. I have stigma of being blind that I'm trying to overcome in the community. If I was walking around trying to shove the issue down people's throat and repeating things, people aren't going to take you seriously. They're going to start clowning on you, right or wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the issue that I do see with the gay community, with the gay lesbian community.
But that's anything.
It doesn't matter.
No, I'm saying, Omar, that's anything. I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
look at right now the African American movement right now. I'm just saying in general,
4%, they're 4%, but they have the loudest voice right now. There are 19% in the country who are disabled. 60% of those are unemployed. 75% blind people are unemployed. 19% disabled.
Wow.
You need to get a better lobby group.
Well, but my point is, sometimes whether it's the media or whether it's the wrong spokespeople within these communities, it does become a circus or glamorize or whatever words you want to use. But it does turn into
This country tries to capitalize on anything,
It's
don't
time
they?
it's time for another statistic. I was in Saugatuck once. Saugatuck is in western Michigan. It's a big gay town, and I was at a couple of art studios buying some art, and we were talking about the gay community and how large it was in Saugatuck, and I was asking why, and the shop owner was telling me how wealthy they are, and I said, what? And I said, well, why do you say that? And he made an interesting observation, which made a lot of sense. He said most gays or gay couples are educated. 99% of them don't have any children, and so therefore they have a lot more. They have a lot.
They
more
bring better
savings or
economics
more-
to an
more-
area.
Sure. So with that said, because of the economics, that could be possibly why they have much more of a voice.
it's okay, right?
There's
that's
actual
cool. If they
towns
have
that are given
if they
in
have that
regards
strong
to
a
that.
voice,
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
good.
Like
If
they do
have-
name them,
hang
whether
on,
it's
if they have
Boys
that
Town, whatever it
strong
is.
voice, it's okay, but and it's it is what it is. But like I said, sometimes it's the wrong voice, and they turn it into a circus. That's all you have. It went, like I said, it went from LG to LGB, LGBTQ, LGBTQRST. I mean, it's come on, man.
Well-
there are better ways. There are more effective ways where people will take.
But I
you
have
more
a question. I don't know if I'm missing something, but I don't maybe because I'm a counselor and I see the effects of the transition for a lot of these men or women, but I don't see the glamorization. I don't see it at all. I feel like it's more of a
Open acceptance.
No, but I think that they're struggling with it. I don't see it as
Stephen,
glamorization.
Are you talking about gay pride parades, for example?
Oh, no, I'm talking about 90% of the sitcoms on ABC, NBC, and CBS.
It's okay. So in regards to what he's saying,
I'm
I
talking
can
about
I think I can elaborate more
Music
on that.
videos. I'm talking about Hollywood.
I think they're laughing
I'm
at
talking
themselves.
about-
I see a lot of that as
I'm
laughing at
talking
themselves.
about
Will
I
and,
Kissed a Girl
Will
When
and
I
Grace.
Liked It.
I love watching Will and
talking
Grace. I think
about
it's
a lot of-
hilarious.
I'm talking about a lot of things.
But-
that weren't
But,
there
but I think
15, 20 years ago.
I agree with you.
I think they're just
it's
more
more
open.
accepted today.
Yes, that's what
And-
exactly. And they're
Hillary
showing
won-
it more.
Hillary won. Frozen would have been lesbian couple. 100%. They were trying to cast that. They were saying, "Oh, we can't wait."
Yeah,
it's gonna
you
be
know,
great."
that's a good point. A few years
Google
ago,
it.
couple of years ago, Green Lantern, the superhero, they wanted
Right.
to make him gay.
Well,
It's like,
well,
why?
well. It's
Why?
not they wanted to. They did first and foremost. So let me
But
just
why?
talk about that real quick.
If
So
it
I
wasn't
posted
broken,
something
don't
like
fix
that
it.
on. Okay, so this is what I said at that time, and I think it goes back to what he said.
Stephen, I see a lot of pent up anger inside of
Never.
you.
I told you, I have no problem.
Are
with
you
it.
sure
Listen,
you're not a closet
I'm
homosexual?
Listen, I'm just giving my side of the story. I'm giving my side of the
Okay,
story.
so can I
By the
finish
way,
that?
Hope and Counseling
so-
does anger management too.
I'm
So-
giving my side of the story.
That's fine.
And
I appreciate
I
that.
want people to understand what's going on
Well-
because I'll be damned if my 12-year-old, I have no children, but if my 12-year-old turns the TV on one day and sees two guys kissing on TV and says, that might be cool. No.
It's not gonna happen.
But
cool.
see, that's hold on,
It
time
does
out.
happen.
Can I answer this?
It-
Because this is
you're
what
in
I've been trying to
denial.
say.
Everybody's
It's not
in denial.
Steve.
No,
Gays
it's
don't
not.
have
Steve,
sex if they're Catholic.
Steve,
It'll
again,
never happen.
again, Steve.
The movies don't show anything gay anymore.
Okay.
Music is kosher. No, it's not.
Okay.
It's horrible.
Okay, Steve. It's changed and it's evolved, is what it is. Okay.
Junior, please.
No, there's no please. I'm trying to
Please.
explain to you. So years ago, from what Omar was saying, I posted that on Instagram.
Posted what?
What he said and the heat that
The
I took
Green
back on
Lantern
that.
situation.
I said, okay, I understand. I'm not homophobic, and I posted this and specific. I'm not homophobic, but I said, what's next for Marvel and DC Comics to have the superhero smoking dope? You know what I'm saying? So I said, okay, maybe they shouldn't put this in there to influence the children for this path, is what I said, because this is what people get. The backlash that I got, and there was a couple people from the community that are gay, that are friends of mine, that hit me on the back end of DM and on a message and said to me, why would you put something so hurtful? Why would you think this? This is not what we choose. This is, and I said to myself, he's saying something to me that I've heard from somebody close to me, my cousin. That's not how I was trying to represent it. I'm just saying, if I'm not here shoving, one agenda, and that's what you're saying. If I'm not shoving this agenda of if they don't show them doing this thing,
Listen, if Green Lantern wasn't created gay,
that's the
he
thing.
doesn't need
You
to be
formed
created
him
gay
later.
because you're
If you
conforming
started
to-
new things and showed like couples getting, whatever it may be, and adopting kids and doing stuff and showing that formality of it, not just to show him as a grown man and you just turned him into being gay and then this is what it is, because Hollywood is saying, hey, that's the new script. This is the new script.
No, that's a new trend.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's the new script.
Yeah.
So every script has to have this in there to make it acceptable. From whether it's DC Legends now, where the superheroes are kissing each other, I've seen it before, to whether you go to watching when Tyrant was on, and they were having a ton of that homosexuality on there. So it's evolving, is what it is. And that's a question now to us as the community. Are we evolving with it?
That's not evolving. That's changing history in a way.
Okay.
It is. Because if Elsa was going to become gay, all my niece's stuff would have been thrown in the trash the next day.
Okay.
Remember?
No, what
that.
about this a superhero that was white? Now they want to turn him black to conform to society. Why?
I-
There's no need for that. You're
So-
altering history.
Somebody's got a question for Jim here. They made a statement, and I want to hear what you have to say. They said, by supporting your son, that means you're supporting the sin. That's wrong. Of course, love your son, but don't support what he's doing. You're an accomplice of the sin.
So what am I supporting exactly? I'm supporting my son as a human being. I'm supporting him as my son. I'm supporting him as a partner to another human being whom I love. I'm supporting him as a homeowner in Connecticut. I'm supporting him as a Catholic.
And that's not, and
what
it's
part of that is
humanity.
wrong?
You're serving humanity, correct?
Thank you.
Right?
So-
Okay.
And
So-
unfortunately,
Person
I
having
feel
children?
like I was just gonna say, unless you have a child and this happens to you, you will never fully understand
Yeah,
that.
so ask them if their love for their children is based on certain things. Only if they do this or if they do that or if they're this way or they're that way. So that's called conditional
It's conditional,
love.
yeah,
A lot
exactly.
of towns, it's like that. A lot of countries too. A lot of conditional love.
I've got a post that I want to read
Sure.
to the Chaldean community. Basically,
Sure.
it says, and this is from a gay person. I'm so glad to hear that the Chaldean community is finally able to have adult conversations about its gay population. I find it incredibly hypocritical that our Chaldean community can speak to such persecution and hate against them for their cultural identity, but can then turn to members of their own community and ostracize them for their identity.
It's very true.
Good way of putting it.
That is very good.
So I have a question, Steve and Junior. So what's wrong? The obvious reason. What's wrong with portraying a Marvel character that's gay? What's wrong with that?
Was it when he was created back in the 1930s? He wasn't gay.
What's his name?
Why are you changing history?
What if they came up with a new?
That's what I'm saying. If you made the formality,
If you have a new superhero, okay.
Or-
you want to make a gay person happy, go for it.
Coming-
You know? If you or a black person, if you want to make a black person happy,
I
create a
didn't
new
even know
black
this.
superhero.
Is there,
Yeah, I
is there
don't
a
know.
Marvel comic? that-
yes,
But
yeah,
don't
that's
take-
what we're just
gay?
saying. Why
Don't
flip
take
the
an
script?
Are you
don't
serious?
take an already
Make it
existing-
correct.
Are you
Because-
making this up?
I think
No, I think
No,
it was a thought.
Oh,
No, they did do it.
No,
They did do it?
They did
Oh,
do
okay.
it. Yes,
Green
Green
Lantern,
Lantern.
yeah.
They turned him. He was the
Green Lantern.
first.
Yeah.
And then they had a couple of the X-Men that got married in a few of the comics. So they did. Two men got
Okay.
married. So they did start presenting this, and it came around the time, like you said, like more of the LGBT,
There's
like
a lot of influence in Hollywood.
a huge amount. Somebody said that. Who? Randy Hanna, I think it was on here. He said there is some here. He said, I want to point out that most actors in entertainment are gay. There's a ton of them. I agree with you. I mean, let's be real. Sometimes they may sell their souls to the devil and turn that way. Let's be real. It's because of what these guys do. Harvey Weinstein or any of these guys, or what was his name? That was who played
I
Kevin
don't think most of
Spacey.
them are
Kevin
gay. I would say
Spacey.
most of them are bi.
Well, I'm saying to you, Kevin Spacey or these guys. Look what they do. They're predators. They may do things to do this, and they're
doubles. These are doubles.
but still, again, that's now. You know, I want to touch a subject on that nobody has. I did not see this on anywhere here. Anybody talk about this? Let's talk about porn. Okay, at an early age, kids at the age of 6, 7, 8 stumbling upon something like that.
Very possible.
Okay, and thinking that thought process can change the mentality. When there's an imbalancement, the imbalancement can be triggered at any point in time. Shock can do a lot of stuff to you as a human being, okay? It doesn't matter how you accept it, seeing pornography, or whether you go through, a loss in life, whatever it may be. My point is, do people think that cannot be a possibility? That could also factor in?
Oh, sure.
good question.
course.
I don't know.
I think so.
It definitely
How could it
can.
not?
All kinds of instances that happen.
And in
in
both
life.
sexuals,
Yeah,
right? Men and
exactly.
women, both.
Absolutely.
Both. It could be just even a woman walking into something like that, and just be disgusted from it, thinking to herself, this is not, and it reverses the whole thought process.
So, Stephanie, you might know about this. I briefly read one of Rita's posts earlier. She was talking about some paper that was done, and it disproves that gays are not born that way. Did you know anything about that?
I don't know about the paper she was referencing, but there's a lot of research on this
Yeah.
topic.
And
I mean,
I'd love
it
to
got
see who
literally
wrote the paper, who's behind it, where did the money come from.
Yeah, but the thing is that like for example, I'm a therapist, so I use a diagnosis book. It's called the DSM. Homosexuality used to be in that because they thought it was a mental illness. It was removed in 1973. Although it took that long, there was so much research done on that. Like I was telling you guys about conversion therapy, that came along with it. When people were diagnosed with a mental illness because of homosexuality, then they had to have therapy to quote unquote cure them. Like someone had said something about getting cured.
I saw a story
Which-
with recently a pastor was trying to do it on
Yes,
somebody.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was something recent that happened. And why was it on the news? Because that's not an effective way of treatment. And again, it's not considered a mental illness. But this is the problem. A lot of gay and lesbian people will get help for the aftermath of coming out of the closet, or transitioning into this different life, or being open with their family and friends. That's why they're getting help, and then they're going to be labeled mentally ill because they're seeing a therapist or a psychiatrist.
right.
And that's the problem. Or the people that are committing suicide, oh well, then they must have been mentally ill, hence they were gay. No, that's not what's happening. Is they're coming out, they see the repercussions of coming out. It's not an easy life at all. That's why I'm kind of a little bit against the whole glamorization of it, because in real life, other than Hollywood, it's not glamorized.
Sure.
Most of the time, a gay person will tell you it's not easy.
My cousin, like I said, he was one of my closest people in life. He was my biggest supporter. Said to me one day, "Do you think this is what I chose?
Exactly.
Do you think this is what I looked for?" You know, and
So well said. So well said.
It's-
That's the argument I always use about when
Yeah.
people say they
Who wants to
choose.
choose the harsher situation? Like,
Does everybody know who Man of the Year was last year on one of the game? I don't know the name of the gay magazine, Gay Pride or something like that. Who was the Man of the Year for 2017?
I don't know.
Anybody know?
Donald Trump.
Pope Francis.
Oh yeah,
Pope
I do
Francis.
remember that.
Because he said we need to accept them. We need to
Like a
accept them.
judge.
Exactly.
Steve, do you have any
And a
gay
lot of
friends
Catholics
or,
don't
or
like him
do you have
because
any
of that.
gay friends or cousins?
Well,
kinda like what you
Nothing
said.
at all?
A lot of what he
Yeah,
says.
you do. You do. You just don't know about
Yes,
it.
Exactly.
but
That's-
Trust me.
They're all
No.
Doesn't mean
There's
anything.
a lot of them leading double lives.
Sure there is.
Just-
I
just to-
hope not. I know my cousins. I mean,
So
Just
No,
to
you would be
clarify, though-
surprised if you go to a gay bar.
Yes, you
You
did.
will find people
Not
there that
that
you
we know.
didn't expect.
Oh, no, you don't have to go to a gay bar. Go to the Sure concert.
Yeah, exactly,
I'll be
that
shocked.
too.
my cousins.
But just to clarify, though, Pope Francis's words have also been misconstrued. They have been misconstrued. People have tried to say that he's okay with gay acts. You know.
No, nobody said he was okay with gay
No, they
acts.
did. They have in the media. They have said it.
Okay.
Yeah, they have.
All right.
But he's not. But
Pope
I agree
Francis
with
is he's really going off the liberal end, progressive end. And you know what? I'm not going to.
Are we seriously criticizing Pope
I
I
Francis?
disagree.
No, he
love-
is.
I love the Pope. I love.
I'm gonna sit a little bit further away from you because if lightning strikes, I don't want to be near it.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. The Pope is just a man. We shouldn't revere him as something more than
Yeah.
a man. He's just a
no, I actually think the Pope has the right attitude in a lot of these situations.
I understand
Towards
that,
gays,
but he's a little
towards
liberal.
divorce.
He's a little liberal.
He's not. I think he's spiritual.
Okay.
So a more important question is what happens now when someone is gay in the community? Like, what do they do besides veering
it's a
off
50-50.
to-
It's a 50-50
different
shot. You're
society.
gambling. What,
Yeah,
Like,
they
what do you-
when you open
They
up,
go to
it seems
school, they get a job, they live happily ever after. And what do they do?
in their
They're-
family. I'm talking in their family life when they're still in school, when they're still living at mom and dad's
depending-
house.
Depending on
if they come from a
how
conservative.
accepting that family is. I don't know. That's a good question.
'Cause I
That's an
know
excellent question.
there's a lot of families
You would
that aren't
hope.
that, and I hope
You would hope they're accepting. And
Can I
that,
tell you guys, an honest to God truth, can I tell you a story that I got an hour before the show went up from a friend of mine who for the first time I got to hear it, I never heard it before, but he told me, and it's crazy, and
Is he
Though-
watching?
what's that?
Is he watching?
I'm sure he is.
Okay.
I'm sure he is. He's a good friend of mine, but he said to me he doesn't know where it happened to his brother. Okay, he doesn't understand when and how it went down. I asked him a few questions, right? I asked him a few things like as to when he said, let me tell you how things went when we were younger. He said, my brother snuck me in one day and I saw porn with him one day. He said I was around 8-9 years old at the time, and he said then we had a neighbor girl and their cousin friend, an American girl, and they used to play basketball together, and then they used to play for favors, and the favors used to be that the older brother would have her do sexual favors, okay, in return for winning certain things on these basketball games against them, right? From that point, he would have his little brother then at the age of 10 going in the garage and doing the same thing, okay? Little brother didn't understand much. He was just touching, grabbing, making out. The older brother was doing more, okay? He was having oral sex done to him. He explained to the little brother, next time you go in there, this is what you want to do, okay? At that point, he did. He didn't care for it at the age of 10. He said, I was thrown off by it. I didn't understand it. It really, he goes, I remember. He said, we get to high school, and my brother, he's like, was my best friend. We were still bonded, whatever. He said, but something happened in mid-high school that just changed it. And I asked him a few things. Did your father pass away or your mother, anything happened? My dad had passed at that time. And I said, is it possible he strayed? And I said, is it possible that the same girls that he was doing that with flipped over themselves and figured to forcefully change over somebody else now and force themselves upon them to do things where they're now flipping them into being more into homosexual, okay? The testing. And at that point, if he took it on and understood and looked at it as how porn or whatever it was to him at that time made him feel, that's why I asked you that question, because he is openly gay. He has It never showed signs up until mid-high school. So what happened, where it went, it's hard to say. But the brother seems to feel that there could have been a correlation between it and how that all came to be, because whether you're straight or you're gay, that shit does affect you. It does make you insensible to humans, like how you just approach sex or approach humans. And they're saying that there's a possibility that that's why I said that there could be a reason behind that. So
anything traumatizing could have an effect on you. I mean, trauma has been known
Yeah, but if he
to
was
affect.
going in the garage to grab her and do this and make out, I mean,
that's at the age of 10 years old. Do you really know what, like,
No.
so
You get what
he
I'm
was
saying?
really
Like,
thrown off?
There
mean,
are a lot of people that can
That's-
have
listen,
experience.
that's yes. You've never heard of when you say when somebody says I've been fondled by my
Yeah,
uncle when I
exactly.
was growing up. My
Yeah,
mom
but-
never
but
knew.
the kid
Now we're
knows
talking
what
about
he's
sexual
doing.
abuse, though.
But in regards to
kid-
that, which could cause
It's still trauma.
Is that possible trauma that can cause it?
Yeah.
Is that possibly what, like, let's go to Penn State, right? What happened at Penn State? He was abusing these kids. You're telling me none of those kids could have been traumatized and things have affected them and they've become gay from that?
I don't believe that can traumatize them to the point to where they can change to the same sex or
Yeah,
something.
I'm with you, Jim.
I think it can change them. I don't know
Really?
how much,
I don't, yeah.
but I think
Okay.
it definitely can. I mean, if you think
Then
about
that
it,
becomes really mental then.
but if you
That's
think
more of a
about
mental
it,
issue then,
Sure.
right?
yeah,
I don't
because of the
think-
trauma, it could have
It's not
affected
the
them in
nature
that
thing we're
sense.
talking about,
But
more mental.
But I think that certain things can turn you off of something. You know, that's just natural. I mean, right
Sure.
now I could be turned off by, I don't know, a guy with tattoos, let's say. If I have
If a
been
woman was
trying.
brutally
That's
raped,
what I'm
for
saying.
I gotta leave the
exactly.
table.
So that could be like, okay, well, if a guy has a tattoo, I'm completely turned off.
Brutal.
It could happen
And-
that, a lot of people, a lot of women, sorry, Omar, a lot of women, they, if they're ever traumatized by a man, swear
Steve,
off
I
men
think you
because
might
they
be an
don't want to
undercover
ever
homosexual.
have that, almost like PTSD again.
Yes.
And so then they will turn to women because they want companionship, but have been traumatized by a man. So then they're going to turn to that. So I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think we underestimate the destructive power of trauma. Because from what I've read, every single human being to a greater or lesser degree has gone through something traumatic. So I think we definitely underestimate like how devastating it can be, So I totally agree with you.
I went through it. Trauma is really something not as easy as people think it is to come back from. I hid it, put under the rug for 14 years till my aunt passed away, and it shook me back so hard that I lost so much at that time, from a good girlfriend that I had to a business that I was running smooth was going downhill to didn't care about nothing, losing weight. I'm saying, so you're right, Omar.
triggers you.
It triggers in a bad sense, right? Even, let's be real, depression. Or going schizophrenia, that's all PTSD. It's like somebody who comes home from war and sees that stuff being so, intense in front of their eyes, death and all that stuff. What happens to them? They come back and they commit mass murders, or they go crazy, or they, that's PTSD, like you
Absolutely.
said, or trauma.
Exactly.
So back to the topic is, so being gay, it's not a sickness, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Then hopefully our community, our Chaldean community, can stop treating it like a sickness and be more accepted.
I think again, it comes from ignorance.
Yeah.
I was ignorant to those facts before Todd. I used to make disparaging remarks towards those people, and it's a horrible thing. And maybe God did this to me as a way of saying, stop making fun of people, or stop calling people.
I think
names.
it's a work in progress. I think people are
I don't
still
think- I don't
very.
think that's true, Jim. You weren't punished for.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
you've
You're
said or
right.
done, because if that was the case, we'd all be.
Oh,
No, you're right. You're
I'd
right.
have the other arm gone and both legs. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And
You're a great guy, Jim. I don't think. nobody-
And another thing, like with that comment on Facebook, he says, whatever that guy said, you're supporting your son, and that's a sin. I mean, if that's the case, everything we do, someone's sinning somewhere,
Right.
Like
somehow.
I
Good
said,
point.
So,
no,
so
no
there's
s-
sins. If I'm supporting someone that's,
Yeah.
they're sinning too. Everyone's a
They-
sinner,
they-
but how are we
they-
going to compare one
They
sin
need
to
look at-
another
they
sin
need to-
and say that
those
that
type-
sin is
those
just
type
as
of
bad as
people
this sin?
need to look at their own home,
Right.
their own life, and that's what they're doing. Is they don't want to look at that. They want to
My
Go ahead.
sin
There
isn't as
is-
bad
Talk
as
about
your
other
sin.
people.
Is that
Exactly.
what it is?
That's how it seems. I mean, I think that we're a work in progress in our community, but it's still there. Obviously, I know certain families that have someone that's gay in their family, and if the daughter is still single, it's because they have a gay, brother.
Yeah.
Or, what is someone going to say when they come to ask for my hand and they see that I have a gay brother? Things
Shoot.
like that, that's still around.
We went through that all of our lives. People that want to marry in at times. Why, Omar? What would they used to say? The silly shit from when we were young till now. Same thing. Oh, they're going to marry because then this is going to happen.
They're going to have blind kids.
They're going to have blind kids. And look at every
I have
single-
a brother who has a disability, and I'm sure people have said that as well.
Of course. That's what it's easy to ridicule
Yeah.
and point the finger than to reverse it back and point back.
No,
at
it's easy to
themselves.
point fingers. And instead of trying to get educated about the issue
Yeah.
and find out what the reality of it is.
I think a lot of people are also talking about being born with it or a choice. Honestly, there isn't enough research. There is no known gene that we know of that is something that people are born with.
What
Let me
But-
clarify. I want to clarify
but-
that.
Well, hold on.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
But I think that it's something that is still being researched, that's for sure. But again, it's just one of those things where I just don't know how many people would choose the tougher lifestyle or the tougher life or the tougher ridiculing, and that just, it doesn't seem logical, I guess.
I have a friend who has a gay son, and she told me once that she felt that he was in that, leaning towards that when he was 3 years old. So how can a 3-year-old choose that he wants to be gay?
Well said.
Well, I think to add to that, there are people that choose and there are people that are born with it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, people in their teens that want to choose to go to a different community that's more acceptant to maybe they didn't have any luck with women, or maybe they just dabbled into men and they started enjoying that lifestyle and then they became gay.
I would agree that there is that
Hold on, it's not a
possibility.
lifestyle.
There's a small, there may
But
be
for
a small
those people, it
possibility.
could be.
No, no, it's
Right?
There may be
But
a small
for that-
possibility.
There's small
yeah.
possibility
For that guy
for
that he's
acceptance, but there
saying
are
that-
people,
that-
there are people,
They're
and you
born with
can't
it,
deny
like,
it. Since
that's
they
what I'm
were
saying, we
born,
don't know.
you notice
We
their
do not
tendencies.
know.
And I have people that are related within my family that I've seen it since they were young. And then it's like, when is the day they're coming out? In my mind, it's like, oh, okay, they finally came out. Now I understand. I always knew, but you
just
could
needed
always tell.
confirmation,
Since
yeah.
I was a kid, I'm still a kid, but since I was 2 or 3 years old, and we would be hanging out together, I'd notice the different tendencies. So there are people that are born with it. But yes, not everyone can choose, and some people have the luxury of choosing their sexual orientation. To choose if they want to be with men or choose if they want to be with women. But those are other people.
Right.
Who knows?
Those are other people. I'm telling you,
Sure,
you see it happen.
sure.
And an example of that, Jim, is in Hollywood. If somebody wants to move up the ladder, they could choose to be gay. Certain places of Hollywood to be gay.
If they're
And
going
if
to act, you mean acting?
acting in Hollywood. So you could choose to be gay, and if you were gay in some parts of Hollywood, you could move up the ladder, right? So that being said, people have a choice, but most people are born. I think most people are born with it.
Yeah, but here's something. I have a question for the people who do have a choice or who do choose. Let's say there are, for the sake of argument, right? How do you? I mean, if you choose, there still has to be something innate in there in order for you to get aroused. Because I can't choose to be, say, attracted to another man, or let's say even another woman. If another woman doesn't attract me for whatever reason, I can't choose to get aroused with. I mean, not to get really graphic here, but let's be real here. If it's about choice, there's another factor involved.
You're making a good point here, Omar. You're making a really good point. You're saying even if it's the same sex and you're not attracted to that person, that doesn't mean you have something wrong with you. You're just not attracted to that person, right?
No, I'm saying if people do really are able to choose to go that path, how do you choose that? How do you get sex? How do you get aroused or attracted? So I don't know if it's really genuinely 100% choice. There has to be a seed there. I don't know. Like, I'm having a hard time accepting that.
You're
So, like,
saying-
someone
you're saying
online
how can a guy have eyes for a woman and have eyes for a man at the same time? I mean, Omar, you have to understand there's bisexual too, right?
I don't have eyes for either.
So yeah, in theory, you make a point, but in the generalization of it. I mean, it just not doesn't. I mean, a guy could have eyes for a man and woman, and a man
Yeah, I mean that's I guess that's
So I guess the choice is,
right.
whatever
But
it is.
but even then, at that point, is he or she
That's-
bisexual from birth?
That's what I'm saying. So we technically don't know whether you are born with it or you choose it or whatever. My point is, first of all, that's being researched all the time. It's still being researched, and I think it will forever be. But like someone's online, Joe said, who would ever want to choose to be looked at as an outcast? Who would want to cause these issues for themselves, their parents, or their family?
Right,
I'm
true.
saying logically, I don't think that you can choose it because, like, who would choose the harder life? That's just my thing. I don't think that I don't think that we can say for 100% fact that someone is born with it. I think logically, for me personally, I think it's something that you're born with, because I just don't think that people just choose to be the outcast. Like, who wants that? That's just me. But again, that's not something that we can prove, because there's never been like a proven fact that there's a gay gene. We don't know what causes, that to occur. It's just not something that has been proven. So we don't know that. I don't think we'll ever really know. And unless you're living it, I definitely think you don't know.
There's the argument for that, and I want to hear what you guys think. Some people will say, well, in that case, if it's not a choice, then murderers, rapists, they're all born that way.
But those are acts that they're choosing to do.
Those are actions. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
You can't consider this.
If they're murderers but they don't murder anyone, then I guess they're not that bad. Right? Isn't that what we're saying? If you're gay and you're not acting on it, then it's not a sin, right?
Right.
Well, then
But
you're
if
not a
you're-
murderer,
I
you're
think-
murdered.
That's what she just
Well,
said.
that's what I'm
Stupid
saying.
comparison.
It's not a good comparison, because it doesn't make
Thank
any
you.
sense.
That's
I,
good.
I think to
it's-
summarize, if you're gay or if you're straight, you should still be loved just like everyone else should be loved. Seriously, that's what it is. You shouldn't be
We're
looked
having
at
a
as an
group hug
outcast.
after this.
Oh, everyone
If you're gay or
Except for
straight,
Steve.
you should be loved just like every other person should be loved. Period.
I think Steven needs a hug really bad.
No.
Not it.
All right.
No, I don't know if I'm yeah.
I-
But do you have anything else to say for us,
Yeah,
Jim?
I want to finish by saying we have about 150,000 Chaldeans in Metro Detroit, and if we took the statistics of how many Americans, or what percentage of the population in the United States of America is homosexual or LGBT, 6,000 that would make 6,000 Chaldeans as LGBT. Now, if we say, okay, no, everybody but Chaldeans.
Chaldeans are different.
Let's go 1%. Let's go the lowest number. There's no such thing as the lowest number. So 1,500. 1% of the Chaldean population would be 1,500. We would have at least 1,500 gays in our community. So accept it, love them, hug them, and let them know that they're accepted. I think that's the greatest thing we could do, is to let them know that they're accepted, because they're human beings just like us.
Steve's homophobic. He won't do it.
If I sit here, hold on,
Seriously?
can I finish? Can I finish? Would it be okay? Would it be okay if I make fun of Omar because he's blind?
Sure.
Yeah,
go
sure.
there.
Yeah, do
Wait, hold on,
it.
Would it be okay if I made fun of Junior because he's handicapped? No, it wouldn't be. So
Junior's
so
not
let-
handicapped.
so let's not make fun of anybody that's gay.
Beast.
Let's not make fun of anybody that's homosexual because they're homosexual.
Exactly.
It-
I mean, I
they are
think
what
we
they
need
are.
to judge people based on who they are,
said.
not what they choose.
Agreed.
I think
I
we need
agree
to
with
love
that.
each other more in our community, especially, and everyone needs to love each other more. I think
love
that's
you.
the answer.
I love you
If it's
too.
someone's a Democrat or a Republican, it's
Oh
like
gosh, did you
there's-
really just say that
there's
right
so
now?
many reasons that our community is splitting apart, though. And
Oh
I think
gosh.
if it's your political beliefs or if you're gay or you're straight, these are things that are separating our community more and more.
Somebody was pissed off. That was how it all started. They said to us that they couldn't believe a conservative
Yeah.
local show. If they wanted to hear this nonsense, they would have listened to CNN.
Mike Romaya guy. That
No,
Mike Romaya guy.
Mike Remy or
Mike
whatever.
Remy.
Well, it's been an hour, Omar. Do you wanna-
Omar, can I put in a quick commercial for our community?
Yep.
All right. So at the northwest corner of 14 Mile and Middlebelt in west of Bloomfield Township, we have a developer from Ohio that wants to build 163 senior high rise. Basically, it's only 3 stories.
Is that where the school was?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
where the mosque was going to be that we turned down.
Is it being sponsored by
That
Holy
we turned down
Cross?
because of parking. So it's not but Holy Cross Catholic Church is supporting it because 51 of the units are going to be low income, $600 to $800 a month, which would be phenomenal for our Chaldean community. Now, on March 5th, which is Monday, coming up in a couple weeks, I need Chaldeans at City Hall to show their support for this because
Is
right
this
now,
West Bloomfield or Farmington Hills?
West Bloomfield.
Okay.
I'm-
Chaldeans of any age you're
Trust-
asking, or
trust
you're asking
any-
elderly Chaldeans?
Elderly would be
This
more
is the one across
appropriate.
from Red Travel, right?
Kitty
Yes.
corner from the old Nino Salvaggio.
Yeah.
Correct.
The old school.
Okay.
Kitty corner,
For the
exactly.
marathon.
That
Exactly.
Eagle school, whatever.
So we need this housing for the Chaldean community. We don't have the votes right now. It's 5-2 against, and the reason it's against is a lot of the residents of West Bloomfield don't want low income housing in West Bloomfield because they're worried that it's going to bring in certain types of people.
What's his name voting?
Who's that? Steve Kaplan?
Yeah.
He's in support of it,
So
as
you
I
and
am.
Steve?
Me and Steve only right now.
Who else is
So,
on there?
We have Terry Weingarten, our treasurer.
Jonathan
We
guy
have
on there?
Jonathan
I know-
Warshay is
I
on
know
there.
Jonathan.
Jonathan's a great guy.
I'll talk to Jonathan. I'll
Great,
see-
thank you.
See if we get him on
Thank
board.
you. We've
I
got
know his fiance Renal. You know Renal?
I've met her.
Okay.
We've got Debbie Binder, who's our clerk. We've got what's the matter with me? I'm losing. I'm a loss for names today. Anyway, we got 2 other people on there,
I'll
and
see what I can do.
thank you.
I'll
Do you have to be
there.
a West Bloomfield resident to show support?
No, you don't, but it helps. So again, if we can get 30 people there, we've
When
told
is it? March what?
March 5th.
All right, we're gonna
And it's
work
the,
on
the,
that.
the meeting starts at 6 o'clock. We've invited Father Anthony. We've invited Monsignor Khajbu.
Get Dr. Bahu coming.
Dr. Bahu's my partner. I just spoke to him. So before, which one?
Doctor Sam.
I mean, okay. Yeah, he's got 3 brothers too that are all doctors. So
So, do we have any closing remarks on this stuff?
Okay, so March 5th. And then
Jim, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on here with us.
thank you for inviting me.
And just talking about this was good.
It's
Thank
an
you very
important
much.
it's an important topic, and I hope that the response is positive, and that if you have anything negative to say, hey, get off of Facebook.
Yeah, seriously.
Just keep it positive.
Yeah. I think in the end, I mean, like some people are saying, just judgment. I mean, really, I don't think that any of us can judge. No sin is worse than the other. So,
You got a judge and jury on social media. What are you talking about?
oh my gosh,
special
it's
thank you to
crazy.
They bring the
all
hammer with
people.
it.
There's a few people that sent me.
Oh my God, blocked it. I got blocked because oh my God, blocked this week, and I didn't even do anything.
You guys got blocked?
I got blocked because of him, just because it said been new.
Well,
so they just
somebody said they were unfriending me, and they still let me. They were unfriending me so that they wouldn't be tempted to respond on my page. So I responded. I put the song, that song by Steam, of na 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 na.
That's awesome.
So they got really pissed and they just unfriended me and blocked me. Oh well, God bless.
I mean,
them.
we should be able to have conversations like this about every topic.
Well, we
I
have,
wish we could.
Jim. We have like if we're going to get our West Bloomfield Chaldean residents to go out, we have to stress that it's for our people. Otherwise, they're not going to care.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So
Thank you.
Yeah, we have
Thank
to
you,
stress
Stephen.
that. So I'll be posting something about that.
I really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
oh, yeah.
And invite me back anytime. It was
yeah.
great to see you
This is
guys.
great.
We can talk about other issues next time.
Sure. How
Thank
do
you,
feel
Jim.
about Trump?
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
boy.
Here we go.
Jim's a Trump supporter.
I know he is.
Tune in next week, and
He is.
I want to
can,
talk a little bit about the recent school shootings that
Yeah.
happened in Florida, and the whole issue again has resurfaced. Jim, you can stick around and contribute to this. I'd love to hear your opinion, of course.
You're not going to like it.
Well, that's I mean,
I support gun control. If you look at every country around the world that doesn't have, we have more people in jail than China and Russia combined.
What is gun control, Jim? What's your idea?
Hold on. So we have more people. We have more people in jail than China and Russia combined. We have the gun lobby here. The NRA is one of the strongest lobbies in the country, and I believe in the Second Amendment rights. Don't get me wrong, but I just think there's way too many guns out there. I don't think assault rifles are needed. I think these should be banned completely.
wait, time out.
And,
Just before we cross that line of
Sure. That's my opinion.
AR does not stand for assault rifle. Get that clear, everybody.
It doesn't?
It does not. It's the name of the company that first originated the rifles back early 19 whatever.
Uh-huh.
The thing is, you guys have to understand is, it has nothing to do with assault rifles. Ban them or not, rifles are out there. I can take the same clip that I have upstairs in my 30-round AR that's upstairs and take it and convert it right into the same clip into my, rifle that I've got for long-range hunting. I also have the ability to go shoot 6 football fields long if I wanted to. So imagine what kind of damage I can do with a rifle that's just meant to go kill a bear and so forth, right? So my thing is, forget the whole banning thing. Like, I'm just responding. I'm not saying it's cool what happened, but like I talked about this with when Omar posted it, and you guys have to understand, the guns are already out there. You ain't gonna stop it. You're not gonna stop control. Yes, fine. But the problem is, even a sane man, that's what I said, can go insane at some point. So how do you determine to say, hey, Jim's today, he's good as can be. But going back to her point, what PTS and all the other stuff can do, you can be traumatically hurt and just flip, and here we go. I just lost everything. I can't support Steve no more for school. I can't support my wife no more, my kids. I flip out. I go crazy. We don't have everybody has support systems to say like Chaldeans see a different support system, but these Americans, they don't really have it like how we do. They're single people who have a few people around them and they just snap. And if it's not that, then it's going to be in China. The guy who go ahead.
Okay, hold on though.
Go ahead.
Let's define the parameters of gun control.
Sure.
Jim, what is your take on that? And Stephanie, I want to hear yours too.
Mm-hmm.
There is a recent legislation where they want to make it where you're at least 21 to get a gun. I'm in favor of that completely.
I am too. Agreed.
Okay.
I'm in disagreement. Private sales are a bunch of bullshit. I've sold private guns. Guns have been sold to me privately. They're not registered to no police department or nothing. I got it from Jim right now on a piece of paper that I printed up. Jim signed it off on me. If they catch me, if they come to me, I am now compliant with the registration to say it's mine. But at the end of the day, if I fire that gun off and I never went and did what we had to do to get it to the state and so forth, that gun still belongs to Jim. That serial number, if I fire it off, still belongs to Jim. That's a crock of shit. They got to stop that. You can't go to these shows, these flea markets, these events, and go buy guns like that. Listen, Omar will tell you. He's always asked me.
We're in agreement.
I listen. In control, like to have that, yeah. But to call like an assault rifle ban, you got to ban rifles though. Because my point is, you can go to YouTube and you can use 3D printing. And there was a Russian kid that was giving these blueprints to everybody online. Mm-hmm. You can buy those 3D printers and you can make a semi-automatic gun with a 3D printer, no registration. You can all fire off here. You can buy the piece to it that goes inside there and you can fire off, go kill whoever you want to, and nobody will have a damn clue where it came from. Same goes with the rifles. Justin can walk in right now. He has nothing to sign. He gets the rifle. He's out the door. He's firing off shots and becoming the DC sniper again. You guys remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't doing an assault rifle. He was doing a rifle from long range, causing hysteria in that whole area. Mm-hmm. So that's my point. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. You're going to lose sanity. There's people that just flip, man. And however they're going to kill you, they're going to do it. It's like
Stephanie, what's your take on that?
My take. So I honestly, I don't know too much about like what's going on with like the gun control and things like that, because for me, I'm looking at the mental health side of it. Mm-hmm. This guy, this kid, I don't even know, guy, kid, whatever, he was not right. And the saddest part, and I posted this on Facebook too, is like people are so scared to say, hey, like that guy has been acting weird. Hey, this person that lives next door to me is not right. Like, let me go call someone, get him help, get this. This is my problem, is I feel like we kind of always see it coming. Like if you see all the shooters, all these like mass shooters,
a lot of signs.
A lot of people will tell you we knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. But like, where were you?
Where were you to step up and stop?
You know, and that's the thing. And someone on Facebook, this guy was just saying like, your feelings are not worth my child, and that's where I stand. Is like getting help is really that important. Like it is like we could avoid a lot of these situations. You know, guns. Yeah, somebody said on here, if someone wants to commit a crime, they're gonna find a way. And someone was held up at knife point. So like we can't outlaw everything that causes these things.
Correct.
But why don't we fix the person instead
Yes.
of just the utensils. I
So,
guess.
I saw this thing that video Obama had put up on. He really gave one of the best debates I've heard about it. He said, let me give it to you like this. Back in the days, car companies used to deal with a lot of car crashes, right? I don't know if you guys saw that or not, his
course.
speech on that.
Of course.
He said basically the car crashes had to be lessened, so they started watching and
So less
recognizing.
people would die.
So less people would die. So driver's license and all the schooling and all that stuff was implemented to make it better and safer.
Make cars
Seatbelts and all that.
Safer.
He says every time I step up and I walk into the situation and start speaking on this, right? He says the problem is that he gets shut down and he gets pushed back because who steps in? The NRA. The NRA has a lot of power. There's a lot of money backing those guys up, and they put a lot of money backing into.
Look at the school shooting that just happened. You would think they just ran a vote today on legislation to ban the assault rifles again, and it failed miserably. That this quick, just a few days after
Sure.
the shooting deaths in Florida. This shows you how powerful they are. They're one of the most powerful lobbies in the
One of the most powerful organizations. Listen, there's nobody saying take your Second Amendment away. I've never heard that. I'm not hearing anybody tell you they're going to come confiscate our guns. You can't do that because the simple fact is if you take it, you're going to keep us weak. It's been proven in history that when an arm gets taken away, a race gets infiltrated. Something may happen catastrophic after that because how do you fight evil unless sometimes there's evil to be able to fight it back with, right, Omar? Isn't that we've talked about that before? Sometimes you just, even as a Catholic, even the Pope at one point said to arm our people when it was time to fight ISIS. He said arm your people, did he not?
Yeah. Steve, what is your take on
what?
gun control and the whole thing? Coming from a
Control?
Trump perspective.
You want my take on gun control?
Yep.
Well, Trump just came out talking today that he wants to ban bump stocks and anything that makes the gunfire faster, which is fine. What the hell's the point, right? Number one. Number two, legal age definitely should be raised to 21. I mean, you can't buy alcohol until 21. Why should you be buying a lethal piece of machinery? Number three,
These are
think-
common sense things
yeah.
that you're saying.
Number three, I think medical records should be involved in getting.
Excellent.
If you've taken Prozac, if you've taken any kind
Agreed.
of
Psychotropic. Yep.
What about after the fact, though, is a question.
That's fine, and it should be regulated on real time. A doctor prescribes you something and cross-reference to the federal database as far as
Sure.
gun ownership, boom, you get
Yes.
flagged. Hey, what are you taking this for? Why are you...
We go get Claritin. We get Claritin at the drugstore. That they need to show ID for that
That's
stuff.
number three. Number four, I think more training needs to be involved. I think people that go and purchase guns, I mean, you got some guy that comes to your house and here's the gun, unloads and signs you a certificate. I think that's horrible. As far as guns, I love guns. Guns are awesome. Guns are great. Protects us, protects families, protects store owners, business owners, whatever you can think of. It's good for hunting. It's good for gaming. It's a good thing, nice thing to have guns. As far as people that shouldn't own them, like Junior said, you could snap at any minute. So, it's going to happen when you have 400 million people in one country. 1 billion people in a country, 2 billion people in a country, wherever you are,
Stephen,
India,
here's-
China, something's going to happen.
Stephen, can I just add to what you're saying? There's 80% of America agrees with you, but yet Congress still won't enact anything.
Well,
Because
then
the
if
money-
you wanna-
money's
if you
behind
wanna-
it.
If you want to take it a little further, you got like an idiot like LeBron or anyone else coming in saying, "Oh, we got to do something about something," but then in the background he's playing, 2 Chainz and rap music. It's all about killing and guns and whatever. It's just a big hypocritical situation. And Hollywood just portrays movies. Every other blockbuster hits killing and guns and violence. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You can't have your cake, right? You can't have your cake. How many cakes are you gonna eat, right? How many cakes are you gonna eat? You can't have all the cake and eat it too, right? So, if there's gonna be something happening, it's got to go from the top. You can't play music about killing people where the kids are listening to it, 6, 7, 8-year-old. That's mainstream. You can't show movies, and you can't, even on the national television right now, CBS, it's all killing, Empire and 911 and the Shy. It's horrible. So until that problem is solved, and that, glorification of gun violence and, being in a position of power and shooting and killing people and whatever, until that's resolved, you're always going to have something like this. Because that's what people are accustomed to, and that's what they grow up to, and that's what they watch, and that's what they emulate, and that's what they like.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
I think
Video games.
Yeah, of course. But I think
That's-
I'm saying, look at
Junior,
video games.
Junior,
No-brainer.
let's just.
Video games is
If
definitely
somebody
on top
wants
of
to
the list.
create, or if somebody wants to be involved in an evil act, they will figure a way to do it. So if they have to drive a truck through a crowd, if they have to throw a bomb in a school, they will figure a way to get it done.
Or Boston Marathon
Or
in a pressure cooker.
And exactly, they will figure a way to get it done. If we ban or if we restrict, let's say we restrict weapons, there's going to be still evil people doing evil things.
Why do you think that
But
doesn't
that's
happen as
why-
much in China or Russia? If you combine those two populations, they would outdo us by probably 10 to 1.
I don't know if
why
it's-
doesn't that happen as often over
Jim,
there?
I don't know if it's just because of the guns. It could be because of the
no,
culture.
No, I don't think it's just the guns.
It
I
could
agree
be the
with you.
culture. It could be the culture of how they're raised.
I think they're also scared to death of what the response is going to be by the government. They're going to hang them 2 days later. They're not going to have a 20-year cycle of getting appeal after appeal after appeal going to the U.S. Supreme Court because
Omar,
of the death penalty.
Well said.
Omar, you have a comment here from Randy. He said you should try to get Wissam Naum on your show. He's running
Bless
for
you.
state rep and can shed more light on the subject. What do you think? Okay.
Well, I'll discuss that at a later point. Later point in time.
Well,
But again, this is why I'm saying it's a people problem, not a utensil problem. Because we can use anything as a utensil to kill.
Correct.
Literally.
Yep.
anything.
I agree with
Our
you.
own hands can be that.
I agree with you.
So I think
Guys
I
in
think
the military are trained to use little pencils to
desensitization-
kill people.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm willing to raise my taxes to provide more mental health care in this country.
Yeah,
that's
that's
where we
big.
live.
Amen.
Okay,
That's what
amen.
I
we
agree.
love
Amen
that.
with that.
Yeah, I
Amen.
agree.
We've
All the
lost
way
that.
around.
It's gone downhill. The money's not even allocated anymore to
No.
it. They were supposed to, and then all of a sudden it's not. There was supposed to be certain amount of money as of last year allocated per state that's willing to take that on and bring a mental institution in and do whatever they did.
They closed
They
all the
did not.
mental institutions in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last
Yeah.
one was
Save
on,
taxes.
Northville.
Yep.
Wow.
Do you know how much it breaks my heart when someone doesn't come back to therapy because they have a deductible or they have a high copay
So
or they
sad.
have a coinsurance? I had that just happen today. They couldn't come back because they couldn't pay for it. And I would love to give out free sessions to everyone, but I can't, because I have a
course.
family to feed too,
Well-
but that's the hard part.
I have a couple questions. One would be I saw some teachers voice their opinions on here on Facebook and other things saying that don't tell me to arm ourselves. Help us get like all this extra stuff into the schools back again, the nurses, the therapy and so forth. Well, we all would love to see that. Let's be real. That's not going to happen anytime soon. To amend to bring safety and security to a place that is known for a free zone like that, that's an open target. You got basically a target on your back for any of these sick puppies to do this stuff. And this country is built on a lot of copycat things. When you see somebody that does it in a movie theater who is not going to a school and doing these crazy things, somebody finds it to be cool and to glorify, just gets up. You had two idiots back to back on Snapchat after what happened in Florida. We're holding AR-15s, and then the comment was saying another day in Florida or something like that, right?
True.
So like look how stupidity just rises to the occasion, right? So that's again.
Jim, what's your very well said, Junior. I want to know, Jim, what's your thought on gun-free zones? What's your thought about protecting those gun-free zones with people with arms?
Yeah, like veterans, I was
Like-
seeing something like that.
Like
things like that.
like a school or like big crowded places that are gun-free. Do you think it would be okay to have armed security there?
I've been invited to speak at schools, and I thought the security there was phenomenal. All the doors are locked. So I was like trying to think, how the hell did this kid get in to begin with the school shooter in Florida? But
He used to be a student there,
yeah,
correct?
I guess so that made it easier, or maybe you just blended in. But I'm thinking he had to walk in with this huge rifle or gun or whatever it is. So I'm just wondering, how did he get in the school if they're all locked down as they are here? So
I don't know if
don't
all schools have that.
No,
though.
and I'm sure some of them put their guard at rest
Yeah.
because at the same time they
Yeah.
think it's not going to
possible.
happen, or
It's
we
possible.
haven't seen that. Somebody just asked a good question to me and said, explain to me how this kid, he sent me a 13-year-old kid buying a rifle at a gun show, how easy it was. And he said, explain to me how this kid can't buy a lottery ticket, liquor, cigarettes, but can buy a effing rifle.
Yeah, that's true.
It's simple. That's what I just said earlier. They go to these private shows. If it's a used gun in Michigan, or I don't know if it's all across the country, you can buy one at the age of 17, 18 if it's a rifle, and be able to legally buy that and own it. So it's it's definitely accessible, and let's go beyond that. The black market is flooded with it.
I agree.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I was 18 years old, and I'll tell you the story. I was 18 years old. I was a friend. We got caught with guns over in Detroit, and because we were going to the state fair and thought we needed to have them. It was a dirty gun. It wasn't a gun that was registered. It was one that was picked up in the streets. The serial number was scratched off a little bit. By the time we got in, they tried to pin it and say that it was registered to a shooting that happened in Atlanta. So anyway, long story short, accessibility is also there. So even if you don't go into Walmart, these places, the streets have them. That's the number one thing the cops will tell you if they ever get called in for a burglary into your business or anything is, where's the gun? Because they don't want dirty guns out there. They can't find and trace where the bullets come from when they go to do these crimes and stuff. It's like a stolen car, right?
I don't think, back to the question you asked me, I don't think the answer is, see, people say, well, we need more we need guns now in school. So now we're answering the question, we're answering the issue and the problem with more guns. So if we have too many guns, and now they're killing our kids in schools, let's put more guns in schools now. Let's arm all the teachers. Let's arm the principals, and eventually they're going to say, let's arm the kids too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know where does it stop?
Yeah, it's hard
Where does
to
it
say.
stop?
Well, what do you propose? There's a different way to protect our children at schools to have them feel more safe when they're at school, rather if it's not guns.
Absolutely. I think I was at 48th District Court the other day. And I was sitting waiting for somebody to arrive, and I watched there was 3 guards there, 3 armed sheriff's deputies, and they had the magnometron, or whatever they call it, where you got to walk through to see if you're carrying anything. And I'm thinking, how many kids, how many children do we have to lose? When does it become worthwhile financially to save one kid?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
So do we need that in every school across the country? It would cost billions, but hey, if it saves one child, it's worth it. I mean, I truly believe that. But you know what's going to happen if somebody proposed that legislation? The ACLU would go crazy and say that's against their rights. That's against their civil liberties. You can't check every kid's handbag as they walk in through the door. And it's happened where somebody thought about that issue about checking bags, as they walk in school.
I think there could be almost a second. I think there could be other solutions besides that we should look into more as Americans rather than just restricting guns. I think there's other solutions. I don't want my kids to feel, or myself to feel scared when my kids attend a public school.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I haven't slept because of that, and I have a 5-month-old.
Or
Somebody,
private school.
somebody posted on a few days ago on Facebook, do I have to teach my 4-year-old about shootings or stuff happening in school? Well, yeah, you have to teach them about anything like that happening in school, because you can have somebody crazy just comes in and does something nutty like that, period, in any situation, not just shooting. Again, it's not just about gun usage and gun control in general. People are pulling these triggers.
You guys, we have like become so desensitized to
Sure.
death, to killing. I mean, like video games is one, obviously, that we know of. Movies, music, just everything. Everything has become so desensitized. Like there are also no consequences for people. Like kids, get into a fight at school, or say that they're gonna shoot up the school. Like this kid said it on YouTube. He said he was gonna be the best school shooter or something like that. And where were his parents? Where was somebody to say?
They were there.
Hey,
Somebody called on him. Somebody called it into the
exactly,
FBI.
and they missed it.
They let it go.
Now, another thing too,
They're
you
too
guys,
busy,
our justice system.
But then that should have also flagged his parents to say, okay, something's wrong with our son. We need to check on him more regularly, not give him a gun, make sure that he's being safe, make sure he's in the house when he's supposed to be. This is a problem is I feel like also it's a parent problem too, because I think a lot of parents right now are trying too hard to be their child's friend than to be their parent, and that's what's also helping.
Somebody
to
just put
raise-
that you're saying that
Oh.
there is no discipline in the home
Exactly.
anymore. It's not discipline, it's friendship, because they feel that if they don't do stuff for the kids, they're not liked by the kids anymore. And the
Exactly.
kids are gonna go run astray and do bad things, and
Yep.
because of them not kissing their ass, pretty much that's what it comes down to.
What are we supposed to do if the parents are the sick ones as well? I mean, what if the parents are not? What if the parents are your patient and they're?
But
they're
that's
the
what I
ones-
mean by someone speaking up too. Like you kind of know the people like around you that are just not right. Like you kind of know that there's a guy in my school or there's a guy in my office
disturbed?
that just doesn't seem right. And that's the issue is like no one wants to speak up about those people because everyone wants to be liked and you don't want to be the snitch and
They
you don't
speak
wanna
up
do
after.
just that,
They
too.
speak up after
Yeah,
the fact and
exactly,
let you know what they thought
Oh,
about
yeah,
the whole
we
time.
knew he was gonna
We
do
knew.
this.
Let me
We
add,
knew he was
let
gonna
me
do
add the
this.
other side of the sword to that because I don't want to look like I'm judging someone. Why are we judging people? We're supposed to just look
But
at
if
Then you
it's
become the
legal,
nosy
like-
neighbor.
And then
Is that what happens? You
yeah.
become the nosy neighbor that always looks and peeks to see. And
But
think-
if you save a life,
Yeah, but I'm what if he's not? I'm judging him for who I
but
think
this
they
is the
are.
thing. You can judge to a certain extent in this sense. You can say, I think this person may need help. That's not really a judgment. You're
Well-
trying to help that person.
Part of that problem, Steph, is and I posted this earlier. The word judging has become so misconstrued.
Yes.
It's so misused. Like to a lot of people who use that word, I can't tell you. You know what, Stephanie, you did wrong today by doing such and such act. Oh, to them
Exactly.
that's judging.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I'm calling somebody out because they did wrong. If I'm doing something wrong, your ass better call me out too.
Exactly.
You're not judging me. You're calling me out and you're telling me I'm doing something wrong.
It's trying to make you a better person, not judging you so that I could feel better about myself.
Yep.
But I would rather have someone do a welfare check on someone that just doesn't seem right, check them out, make sure everything's okay. First of all, that can also help because maybe that person was looking for attention and got it and then doesn't need to go further. Second, you can actually get them the help they need. What if somebody did a welfare check on this guy, got to his house and saw a rifle and was like, hey, let's check this guy out a little bit deeper, and maybe we could have saved this from happening. But again, it's just, I feel like everyone's too sensitive. Everyone doesn't want to say a word about anyone else.
like Susie.
I don't know about Susie.
That's sensitive, Susie.
Oh.
I'm just-
I thought you were talking about someone else.
No, I'm
We
just
we
saying.
actually got to close down, so let's give
Yeah.
some closing
We do?
comments. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
This is
That
crazy.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Jim, again, I want to thank you for taking the time.
Yes,
Thank you for inviting me.
you.
I appreciate it.
And again, as usual, I want to thank all of you guys for being a part of the show. It's been real today. It's been cool. I think we
Yes.
learned a lot, definitely. And
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you,
Good to
Jim.
see you all. Love you all.
everybody have a
God
good
bless
night.
everyone.
We love you too.
Everyone have a great night.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Pleasure.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you too.
See you at church,
Oh,
okay?
man.
See you, Jim.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Thanks, Jim.
Bye.
Thanks, Jim. See you, buddy.